I literally saw men who were blowtorching a Winnebago apart. They were.
Welcome to the Red to Black podcast with your hosts Werner and Mario. We are committed to creating better investors. Whether you are investing in yourself or another business, we show you how to find, evaluate, and buy highly profitable businesses. Create that financial freedom you have always wanted so you can do what you love. We invite you to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification for future updates, and share this far and wide. Thank you for taking time out of your day to engage with us. Today, we're coming to you with a market update on the homelessness crisis in Los Angeles. Mario, what are you seeing on the ground?
Yeah, so I hiked 7 miles from Union Station in downtown Los Angeles to Mid-City through an apocalyptic scenario. I literally saw men who were blowtorching a Winnebago apart. They had basically built a rickshaw out of like 3 Costco shopping carts, welded them together, and they're blowtorching a Winnebago. I mean, they had acetylene tanks. They're blowtorching a Winnebago apart. And I'm like, okay, there's different classes of homelessness.
Do they have a permit from Building and Safety of Los Angeles?
Yeah, so they're running a scrapping business. So these are industrial homelessness men. These are men who have some sort of skills with an acetylene torch, oxygen and acetylene, and a cutting torch, a plasma cutter. And they're literally cutting Winnebago axles in half and frames in half. And you're like, you need to keep feeding that dude or those men scrap vehicles because they're going to drop a building or a bridge pretty soon. Like, you got to keep feeding them junk to cut apart because they're good at it. And they don't care anymore. There's what I want to explain is there's different categories of homelessness. There are people who have mental health issues and drug and substance abuse issues, right? There's your basic homelessness. There's they're really no threat, right? They're being stoned all day. Then you have a scrapper of like cans, right? The guy's going to go around, he's picking up nickels all day and he's industrious. And you're like, okay, he can't get to the point where he can afford $3,000 or $4,000 rent in LA, but he's got himself a little niche job and he works it a couple hours a day and he puts new shoes on his bicycle and he's scrapping cans. And then you've got dudes that are seriously running acetylene torches. So he's making so much money he can, support his extracurricular activities or his substance issues. He can get himself good camping equipment for LA, and he can buy himself more acetylene and oxygen. And that guy is looking at those big steel bridges that go over is it the river of LA? What's the LA River?
Yeah, it's the LA
Yeah, there's
River.
massive steel bridges that, trains cross, and he's looking at those like, you better keep feeding me Winnebagos or that thing's coming down.
Actually, the other day I was driving down, what was it? I think it was Venice Boulevard. And remember that picture I sent you about the guy that set up a structure on that little median?
Well, it's a house. I mean, it's got an address.
Oh yeah, now it's a house with an address which he put up. The other day I drove by and I actually saw him coordinating the delivery of a new porta-john off the back of a truck that had like 3 yellow porta-johns on it. So the guy's actually looks like an upstanding individual. He's strong, and he runs like a little operation on this corner where he's got the porta-johns coming in. He's got a little deck. He's got an exterior area. The reason why Mario and I are talking about this is because it's important as investors to know what your local economy, national economy, global economy is doing. Because what's happening, especially in California and other parts of the state, the homelessness crisis is a sign, like we said in the other videos, that the private economy is being overtaken by this, quote, government economy. So what does that mean? When you have private small businesses, they create goods and services and they create cash flow. When the government creates an environment where that's no longer possible and the small businesses get smaller and smaller and smaller, it creates this vacuum. And then individuals, like you said, the ones that aren't on drugs or have mental issues, step into that vacuum. they start creating new industries that are unregulated and just do whatever the heck they want because they've been either ostracized or they've had some run in with the government. Whatever it is, they're creating a new economy. Why is that important? Because if you're an investor and you're looking at starting a business, investing in yourself, start a business, or building your own business, you do not want to be investing or building a business in these areas which have these huge government vacuums. Your thoughts on that?
Well, when you shut down a hair salon, that lady or gentleman just goes on a vacation. They're like, I need a break. Yeah, shut it down for 4 months. When you shut down a restaurant, tours business, he's like, oh, I need a break. Kitchen life's hard. I'll take a break. Reassess if I even want to be in this kind of business anymore. It's such a grind. He's no threat. She's no threat. When you shut down a guy that knows how to run an acetylene, when he's out of work, you can't. He's running an acetylene cutting torch. That's a dangerous dude to be out of work. If you want to shut down Gillette, Wyoming from their oil, gas, and coal industry, and you have, I don't know, 300, 600,000 men show up in LA for the winter, and they all know how to run blow torches, it's just a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. I get it. There's a drug problem with heroin and prescription drugs that lead to heroin abuse. There's mental health issues, but those people are really harmless. They're not a threat to anybody. They're just so stoned. They're not operating at a frequency that's any threat to, it's a plight on the city, but it's no threat to the city. You start putting like hard industrious men out of work and they show up in your city, you got a massive problem.
Yeah, it's a massive problem, and the reason we're talking about this is because it's not this fear porn. It's what's going on economically wherever you are as an investor. So if you're an investor in Los Angeles, you may want to think twice about continuing as an investor. Now, maybe it turns around, maybe it doesn't. Who knows? We think it's not going to turn around because of the policies set in place. And as an investor, whether you're going to build a business or you're going to invest in a business, do you want to invest in an area where the government's got your back or the government's fighting against you? Because if you, let's say you have a retail space, and I've seen this across Venice, across LA, and you have all these Winnebagos just parked, and a lot of them have blown up. Or you have a guy with a acetylene torch. I saw another guy, remember I told you about behind the Home Depot in Marina del Rey. They were running a metal shop in the middle of the street around multi-$100 million commercial buildings and developments in the middle of Marina del Rey in the commercial area. So what you're
Yeah,
seeing is
it's basically getting so insane that like you're like, well, I'm just gonna start like a chop shop here in the middle of the street. And the police and law enforcement, they're not even set up to deal with a guy running a blowtorch. They're like, okay, I got a domestic dispute between a nice looking
they bring in
housewife and her
they bring in
plumber.
SWAT.
Well, I mean, if you got two calls, I got a guy running a blowtorch and I got a domestic up in Brentwood. I'm going to the domestic.
Yeah, let the guy run his blowtorch.
I don't want to tank. Like you're threatening to defund the police, and I'm only making 65 a year, and then you're telling me I have the choice to go to respond to a domestic violence issue up in Brentwood between, um, a lady and her paramour, and a guy running an acetylene torch in behind the Home Depot in Marina del Rey. Like I'm going to the domestic.
And we're not, guys, just for the listeners, we're not laughing at the domestic violence situation. We're laughing at the insanity of this situation where cops are at a disadvantage, law enforcement, anyone who's keeping the peace is at a disadvantage because they're overwhelmed in numbers. There's a lot of situations like I don't even know how you deal with a blowtorch. Maybe you go to the SWAT department and you ask the guy for a
They're not
shield.
equipped for that. They're not a fire
Yeah.
department. I don't even know what you do. Yeah, like wait a second, the guy's wielding a blowtorch.
Yeah, hey
I don't
SWAT, can you
I
give
don't know
me
what
a
to do.
shield real quick? I'm just gonna bum rush him. Yeah, right. So basically what Mario and I are talking about is, and I've been commenting a lot on different channels on YouTube, and I've been talking about how everything points back to cash flow because underlying cash flow is a bartering system. All we're doing as investors is attempting to determine where there's the highest value. And if you don't have an environment where the government is enabling you to fully express your value, like they aren't keeping the streets safe, they aren't keeping the streets clean, they're not even allowing you to do business as a businessman or woman because of the regulations are so tight. They open things up, they shut them down. You're not going to be doing very well as a business, even if you're a high operating margin business, because now you're fighting all these external factors. So when looking for a business, always look at the local area, look at the local government, look at how it's run. Number one thing to look for is the city or state or area, and is it in integrity? Is it kept clean? Is it kept organized? Do people have a passion about what they're doing? Do they have integrity about what they're doing? Do they keep their head up? You can answer the question for LA. Any final thoughts, Mario?
No, good shout, Warner. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right. Thank you for listening to this podcast. We invite you to get to know us by clicking on our LinkedIn profiles in the description of this video. Please subscribe, hit the bell notification for future updates, and share this content with your networks. Thank you for your valuable time and insights. We greatly appreciate it.